So let us now discuss another service offering from Amazon where we call it as RDS, short form for Relational Database Service. So it is a managed database instance managed by Amazon, and relational means we use SQL. So then what are the different offerings or different databases supported by Amazon? These are some of the databases that we can create in Amazon RDS, Postgre, MySQL, Maria Oracle, and Microsoft SQL. And there is a special offering from Amazon called Aurora, which is the Amazon proprietary database. More or less, it resembles MySQL or Maria, or I mean MySQL or PostgreSQL, maybe a little bit more of the functionality provided by Amazon. That is all. But yeah, our discussion is on the RDS, so it is a relational database service. So then, what exactly is the benefit of using RDS? Because it is a managed service, a lot of things that system administrators used to do before is automated there. That means automated provisioning. I mean, we can provision new instances, just need to give the corresponding configuration in Amazon, and it will do the provisioning for us. And whichever operating system they are using it to install MySQL, they will upgrade the operating system as and when it is required. Next, of course, if you want to have a backup in any production environment, you need continuous backup so that if something goes bad with the main database, we can restore it. And then they are giving a monitoring of the database. I mean, what is happening with the CPU, how many um, uh, hard disk space is remaining, all these things can be monitored too. It has the option of giving you read replicas for performance, read performance. So in any production application, a lot of writes will be happening to the main database, and most of the read operations will be from a different or a replica database. So RDS allows us to create read replicas. Not in many production environments. Not just for reading the application, but for report generation. If both the writing and report generation, because report generation needs to query a lot of tables, a lot of data from different tables, and that query is going to be very expensive. So if you put both the write operation and the read operation into a single database, it will slow down not only the database but our application as a whole. So always we will go for read replica. And again, I'm depicting here because we just need to tell Amazon to create read replicas and it will do the job for us. And multi-AC setup. That means instead of putting our data into or the database into a single AC, we can replicate the database into a multiple ACs for disaster recovery. And there is a maintenance window for upgrades. So, for example, the MySQL vendor is giving a new upgrade to their version, and we want to upgrade it to the latest version. Amazon does this for us automatically. We can specify which window, what is the time frame, which day of the week, what time should this maintenance happen. All these things can be configured in Amazon, and it has scaling capability vertically as well as horizontally. Vertically means we can upgrade the hardware, and horizontally means we can create new instances too. So, and then there is a storage backed by, and the storage is on elastic block storage. We have used this elastic block storage when we created EC2 instance, if you remember. But the only restriction, I don't think it as a restriction, we cannot SSH into the instances, but we don't need to. So if you are creating an EC2 instance and you are managing your MySQL instances yourself, then we need to SSH into the EC2 instance to manage it. But here, this the instance itself is managed by Amazon, so we don't need to do any particular functionality or configuration there. So that is the reason they don't give SSH login to these instances. So this is just a basic theory of RDS. Let us go ahead and create an RDS instance. So I will go to the console, and as is the convention that I follow, go into the search, and here is the relational database service. I will click on it, wait for the RDS instance to or the UI to come up, and here is the UI, and you can see the Amazon Aurora. They are promoting their own proprietary stuff, and it says it is kind of a MySQL PostgreSQL compatible. We are not discussing Aurora here, so let us go ahead and create a database. And here is the UI for creating the database. There are two options available for creating the database: a standard and the easy. Easy means most of the default configurations will be applied automatically, but we will go with the standard create. So we want to see what are the options available. For this, we will go for MySQL, and then we will get to know what exactly is the version. You can go with any of the versions. Most of the versions up to 5, I think, is supported here. So I will give it the go with the option that has been selected for me. So 8.0.23 is okay with me. And then comes the template section. So in the template section, you have three options: the production, dev test, and free tier. Because we want to save some finance, we will go with the free tier. So in the production, you have the ability to select whatever you want, and in the dev test environment too, you can develop the infrastructure, whatever you want. But in the free trial, there is a little bit of restriction. But because we are learning RDS, we are good to go with the free tier. We can give a name to the database instance. It is not used anywhere. It is just for or human readable. So I will give a CTS RDS demo. That will get our job done. And then the credentials. What exactly is the credentials? If you remember, when we create a MySQL instance in our local laptop, there will be a root, but they are giving here an admin. You can change the name. I will go with the admin itself. Okay, and I don't want the guy to generate the auto password. I will give a password of my own. So please keep in mind, and the character should be 8 at least. So I will keep up with whatever they are telling. So I have given a password here. And then comes the what is the instance, the EC2 instance that you are going to deploy this to. Because we have selected the free tier, we doesn't have much option here. We can You can use the standard classes. That means you can go up to whichever CPU, whichever memory, all the things are possible. But here our options is limited. That means we have a burstable class. Burstable means that this can be eliminated or evacuated whenever Amazon thinks so. So it doesn't happen just like that. If there is a resource contention between the different instances or EC2, and they feel that the hardware is not available in a specific region. For example, we are using the North Virginia, and suppose somebody is paying money for their hardware, and a specific hardware is not available. They will try to find space by eliminating some of the hardware. So this vegetable class is that means it can be lost anytime. But we are good to go with this burstable class. And then comes the storage section. So I will go with the default. You can go with the magnetic, the old HDD too. So I will go with the general purpose SSD, which is enough. And because we need to give a minimum of 20 GB, that's what I have been specified here. I am not changing it all at all. And as we discussed in the PowerPoint, you can scale, you can give the provision of scaling the instance automatically. For example, when it approaches the 20 GB, then you can ask Amazon to scale it up. I don't want to scale it up, so I will uncheck it. And then we don't have the capability of creating or specifying an availability or a multi-zone, a multi-availability zone deployment, because we are into the free tier. but you have all these capabilities when you go for production or dev testing. I will, again, for the connectivity, I will give all the defaults that is provided to me by Amazon. We are not into the VPC yet, so I'm happy with whatever the infrastructure or the subnet provided by VPC. And then most, if not all of the time, MySQL will be used by some other application which will be installed in the Amazon, most probably in EC2. But here, not we are not going to access this database. So I will give a public access for this MySQL because I want to show you how we can access this instance by using the MySQL workbench. And then the VPC, the security, who can access, and the security, the firewall that we provide in front of any instance that we create. I would advise everybody in this group who is watching this video to not create any new VPC. I have already created one VPC when we started explaining about EC2. So I will suggest, request for you to choose the existing thing. So if you remember, I had a security group with the CTS SG, so I will go with that. Yeah, so you can see that it has been selected here. So even in one of the trainer discussion, they were telling some of the trainers were telling that it is very difficult to find their security group because every time a new resource is being created, they start creating new security groups. So I would advise, request, hand folded, and tell you not to create any new security groups. Just to have just one security group and stick with it. Okay, so that's what I am doing right now. Then the availability zone, because I am in the Virginia region, you can go for any availability zone there. But I don't have any preference here. I am happy with whatever they provision. And then in the additional configuration, I will go with the default put. There are many password authentication possible in Amazon. I will stick with the default password authentication. Any additional configuration, like if you want to create a database when Amazon provisions this, you can give that too. But I will leave all these things. I don't want any enable automatic backup for this because we are just learning about it. So I will go with not creating a backup. And again, you can provision monitoring for the logs and all the stuff. So enabling enhanced monitoring are useful when you want to see the different processes or threads used by or using the CPU. You can do that too, but I am not going to do that right now. I mean, that is the only thing. After that, maintenance. So again, I'm going to delete it after this particular demo. So I'm not going to use this, but in any serious development or any serious production instances, we should be giving this enable auto minor version. If there is any minor version upgrade, if you want to, if you want Amazon to upgrade it, you can go along. So I will just uncheck it. And then there is the maintenance window. I told you that when they need to update the version of the database, as well as for updating the operating system where this instance is going to be installed, you can specify a particular window. I mean, which day should be the maintenance happen, on what exactly is the time frame or the time it should start, and how many hours is given for this maintenance. For me, I'm okay with no preference. And for example, if there are many users in a group, belongs to a particular team for a particular project, and in order to avoid any accidental deletion, you can check it if you want to have a deletion protection against your database. That's all. A big form, isn't it? But then it will tell you the free tier options here. So you get 750 hours of Amazon in a single AC DB2 micro instance. That's what we have selected. We get 20 GB, and automated backup 2 is available. We are good to go. So now let me create the database. So this create database will take, I think, 5 to 10 minutes in between. So I will wait for this status to be active or running, whatever it is going to show. You can see here that the creating the database is going on. So I will wait for the activity to complete, and we will continue from there. So after I think 5 to 6 minutes, the instance is ready for us to use. So let us go ahead and see what exactly it has created. So I will click on it and see some of the things. Of course, as of now, it is having a high usage of CPU. The only thing that we need, whether it is available or not. And then how are we going to access this instance from outside? If you remember, we had given public access. So this is the endpoint that we are going to use for connecting with this particular instance. And you can see it has selected the US East 1C, some availability zone. And you can see that we haven't created any security groups. We are going with the same security group. But one thing you need to understand, what exactly is a security group? It is a firewall that decides who can get access to and who is going to be rejected. As of now, this firewall doesn't give access to our demo RDS. So let us go to the security group and provision it so that, not provisioning it, configure it so that we get access to this publicly. So you can see here in the inbound rules, there is only available SSH port 22 is open, and for HTTP port 80 is open, but we need to open the port 3306 if you remember. So let us edit the inbound rule, and then I will add a rule. And here you can see in the drop down somewhere there is a MySQL somewhere. Here is the MySQL Aurora. So just select on it, the protocol and the port will be automatically filled up. And then I will use anywhere. I am not going to restrict it because I am going to delete it after this thing. So I will want everybody outside in the public world with an IP address access my instance. Once we have done that, let us save it to make it active. So now we have opened up the port 3306 also, so that we should be able to access it. And how exactly we are going to access it? Let me go back to the RDS management console and select the endpoint that we need to communicate with this database. So I will copy it again, please. This is given as public accessible. That's what I am able to do it. So I have already opened up. So here cancel. So I have already opened up the MySQL. Let us add a new connection by clicking on the plus sign. I will give CTS demo RDS here as the connection name. Instead of the host here, I will paste whatever I got it from there. And if you remember, the username was admin, and then I will provide the corresponding password here. Yeah, done. So let us see whether the test connection is successful. I will give a test connection, wait for a little while, and hopefully it will come up. Let me give one more test connection. Don't know whether I gave it. Yeah. So you can see we have successfully made the connection to a MySQL. I will give OK and then give OK. So then just double click on the CTS demo RDS that we just created, and you can go ahead and start using this database. Even for your local connection, the only thing you need to give is that particular IP address. So instead of IP address, you need to use this particular endpoint with the corresponding username and password, and you are good to go. Then you can, of course, you have a system database, you can start creating the schema there. All the schema you are going to develop will be there in your instance that we created. That is the RDS database for you. Once you have completed it, what we should do? Definitely we don't want to incur any cost unnecessarily. We will be anyway creating the database for our microservices and all the stuff. So we will use it at some other time, but for the time being, let me delete. So I'm going to delete it, and it will ask for whether I want to go ahead and delete it, and it will ask whether we need to create a final snapshot. No, thank you. I will just go ahead and delete it. So delete me is what is required. So create the final. I acknowledge that upon automatic backup including will no longer be available. Yeah, definitely. Okay, delete me and then delete it. So after some time, deleting the DB instance will come up. Sometime after some time, this will be deleted from my database. So this is the minimal way of using the RDS service of Amazon. Okay, so that's all for this video. See you in the next one. Bye.